This is WWE Wrestling Legend Hall of Famer Tito Santana.
This is WWE NXT Superstar Lexis King.
And you are listening to the Source Wrestling Podcast. Arriba!
And you're listening to the Source Wrestling Podcast. Long live Lexis King.
You're looking at the best there
Austin
is.
316.
What do you guys want to talk about? I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest. I'm the best. I'm the best in the world.
Let me talk to you. Yeah.
You will rest in peace.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. This is episode 42 of the Source WWE AEW All Things Wrestling Podcast with Joe
And
Mike. Yeah. And let us talk to you. We both had Taco Bell today, so let us taco to you.
Yeah, let us taco
today.
to you. I got that new Crunch Wrap Supreme with the cheese in it. And I'm seeing reviews out there, and everybody's kind of being like, oh, it goes really well together. I thought it didn't. It kind of tasted weird in it.
The Cheez-Its one, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
kind
I
of
haven't
a
tried
weird
it.
mix for me. I don't know.
I haven't tried it yet. I myself grabbed a couple cheesy gordita crunches and a quesadilla.
I am all about these new Cantina chicken tacos and stuff.
I haven't tried it yet.
Delicious. A little better for you than the meats. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
for sure. They up the quality on it.
Yeah, not that I'm, caring much.
Yeah.
But
And that is this episode of Taco Bell Talk with the Source
that is
Wrestling
this episode
Podcast.
of The Source. We'll see you later.
Yep. Peace.
Yeah.
Nah, just kidding though. We are back with another edition of This Week in Wrestling. It's been another pretty crazy week. We had MJF
Doing a full
returning. We do a full week at a time now. We
Just in time for Smackdown
Yes.
tonight.
Yes,
right?
exactly. Just in time for tonight's SmackDown. I feel like we're getting
all
the
caught up.
format down here on how to go through it, and 6 of you guys listened last week, so we appreciate that. That's 6 hours of us talking that people listen to, so definitely appreciate that. Want to get it up though?
We want to get that to 10.
Absolutely, we do.
And then to 20. And then to 30.
You know what I mean?
And then to 1 million.
We'll just keep it moving for the millions and millions
If you
of
know a
Source
wrestling
Podcast fans.
fan, and you're listening now, just tell that wrestling fan about the podcast.
Yeah, man. Not everybody can sit there and watch 14 hours of wrestling a week like we
The
can.
more listeners
you know?
we get, the more we can do for
Exactly. The more it's help us.
you. The bigger
help
the show
you.
we'll get, the better. Maybe we can afford some guests to come in here and
man.
big time guests.
Yeah.
We do have guests.
We do have a
scheduled.
guest scheduled for next week. Should we talk about it, Mike, or should we?
Sure, absolutely,
Yeah, we have a good friend of ours who's actually a professional wrestler. He goes by the name of Mosh Pit. To us, he's Andy, and he's coming into the studio this upcoming Thursday for next Friday's episode. So you will hear all about his wrestling career. He is the current WFA and Top Rope Pro World Heavyweight Champion in each brand, respectively. Was trained by Vincent Marseglia from The Righteous and Matt Taven from AEW. So we are looking forward to that. But for this episode, we are going to cover this week in wrestling, and we're going to start, where it all began. It was Friday Night SmackDown, 5/31/24. Let us talk to you. Yeah.
Yeah, SmackDown 531 starts off with the Nia Jax Queen ceremony.
Yes.
I felt like she came out and she kind of expected some cheering. You know what I mean?
she
You know
did.
when a heel wins, sometimes you get the non-biased, kind of you deserve it.
Yeah, you deserve
I think
it.
she was kind of halfway. It looked like she was kind of halfway expecting it, and the crowd was not having it.
No,
the
no.
crowd was booing.
Yeah, they didn't
The
really want
crowd
her to
was,
win it.
Yeah, the crowd was not appreciative
They were
of
not.
her winning the King of the Ring.
Queen of the
Ring.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Even though she could probably win that King of the Ring
could probably-
tournament, too.
yeah. She
big
could
enough
probably
to
win
do
the
it.
King of the Ring too. Honestly,
She
with
is a
that.
force. Yeah, she comes out with the tiara or the crown, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And, Nick Aldis is out there, all smiles and daffodils. And, you know what I mean? She's Queen of the Ring. Things must be good
She
for the
makes
Queen.
it clear that she's going to be the next women's champion.
Yes.
and
She's
that's
cashing
that,
in
you know
on
what I
that
mean?
title
Yeah.
shot. Yep. And that's the end of that.
And
Yes.
then right after that, we get Ciampa
Yes.
versus Austin Theory.
Yes.
Which is a really I don't think I've seen this match before.
No, it was a first time ever match,
Yeah.
and I think next week we're getting Johnny Gargano. Well, actually tomorrow, I believe. Well, technically tonight for you guys listening, we're getting Johnny Gargano versus Grayson Waller. So they're doing the one-on-ones with these tag teams.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's a really close back and forth fight when
Definitely.
it comes down to a Ciampa roll up for the win.
Yep, 1, 2, 3 gets
Clearly,
it done.
nobody was able to hit their finisher for the victory.
No.
So the roll up wins it.
Yeah,
Ciampa
it was Theory.
escapes with the victory over Theory.
Theory actually got distracted by Waller inadvertently on the outside of the ring. He was on the apron. They were talking to each other, arguing, and Ciampa rolls him up, gets it done. So
And
the winner
honestly,
is
we're
Tommaso
very
Ciampa.
surprised that Austin Theory has a 72 rating.
Yeah, in WWE 2K24, he is a 72. Was it a 72 or a 75?
It was a 72.
Whatever it is, it's horrible.
It definitely was.
It's terrible. He should at least be an 80, in my opinion, for the things he's done.
That's what I said.
The
as
people
well.
he has defeated, he should be an 80.
Let me just tell you right now that Ciampa is a 76.
Really?
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what it says here,
I feel like
unless
he
it's
could be
wrong,
a
but-
72, I feel like he could be a 72 in the game. Theory should at least be in the 80s. He beat John Cena at WrestleMania, obviously not clean, but he still did that. He, he's a former Money in the Bank holder. He's a former United States champion, multiple-time United States champion. Let's put a little bit of respect on Austin Theory's name, guys.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's some weird stuff going on. I don't know who he pissed off.
Yeah,
I think
I don't know.
might go down as
He was Vince McMahon's golden
and
boy.
I'm confirming right here 72 rating.
I see it. Wow. See, I was just hoping, I guess, that it was a 75.
it was, yeah, and it almost feels as though that Theory was
Vince's golden goose.
golden boy.
Yep.
And he's paying for it right now.
Sure is. He absolutely
I
is.
think
His
that's
last
obvious,
big moment was
think.
beating Cena.
Yeah.
It
makes too much sense to me to be mad about person. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
he definitely deserves to be an 80 in that game.
Yeah, I agree.
regardless.
I agree.
Yeah, he's an 80.
Put the selfie
Look at that
gimmick
physique.
aside.
You know what I mean?
Dude,
Like,
it was one of the most chiseled guys in WWE.
bar
Selling
none,
is top notch. It's Dolph
bar
Ziggler-like, too.
none, bro.
Top notch selling. Mm-hmm. Watch Austin Theory take a Stone Cold Stunner. That happened.
And next up, we have Andrade versus Apollo Crews. And I've seen a
yes.
little bit more of Apollo Crews
They're
lately.
trying to push him. They're trying.
I run
He's not resonating,
my GM
though.
franchise, and I have ECW owned by Paul Heyman.
Yeah, as it should be.
in it. And
Hall
I
of Fame
always
wise
draft Apollo Crews. To,
I feel like he would have been a good
'cause I feel
ECW
like
talent.
he'd be a good ECW
Yeah,
fighter.
Definitely.
He would have thrived
Definitely.
in ECW.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it just wasn't, wasn't his era when the ECW brand was around
Yep.
in WWE, and he missed out.
But in
They've
this
had
case,
a
he
few
ends
runs
up
with him.
Yeah, in this case, he ends up being the jobber.
He does.
And,
Yes, he does.
Andrade wins via the message.
Yes.
and we all knew that's how it was gonna go.
Yeah, speaking of, since we're on the fact of Andrade El Idolo, I'm seeing on the dirt sheets, of course, that he's unhappy with his role right now, and he's very vocal about it, and he's pissing some people off backstage is what I'm seeing. I don't know how true it is, guys, but we're seeing that Andrade is not happy right now in his returning role, and, I kind of don't blame him. What have they been doing with him?
Not much.
Not much.
He needs to get factioned up, and they've been
Yeah.
flirting around with it too
They
much.
have.
But he needs to get factioned up a little bit and fall into some kind of mold here. You know what I mean?
He
But look at the
definitely
Judgment
does.
Day. All the characters
Yeah.
are doing their thing.
They all are. Even JD's doing his thing.
yeah.
So they finally got him going and believable.
Yeah. Next we have the Bloodline segment, and this is basically, from what I remember off the top of my head,
Yes.
Solo and Heyman backstage. Solo saying that Paul Heyman basically needs to take care of the KO problem and address him.
Yes. And also saying it's by orders of the tribal chief. And,
Yes,
they come out,
yes.
they have this big...
Which we're starting to be suspicious of, me and Joe over here.
Yes.
I don't necessarily think... I think he's lying. I don't think he's getting any messages from the tribal
right.
chief.
What if he's
'cause
just
Paul
doing this on
Heyman
his
has
own?
said very clearly he hasn't heard from the tribal chief
He
once
has not.
since WrestleMania.
Yes.
I guarantee Solo hasn't either.
Yeah.
He's lying. That's our take.
Now
I
he
guarantee
brings-
that's... I'm just trying to speak
Yes.
for you, but I think that's our take.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure. And
I
he's
think-
bringing in these young guns, Tama Tonga Loa, who are just wild, and they can't be controlled. So this whole segment, Paul Heyman is seriously concerned. He's got that look of concern on his face.
But I think this is the same segment where KO comes out, right?
Yeah, he comes
and
out.
And now Paul Heyman.
And Paul Heyman's out there, and it's just we haven't seen KO in a little bit, so it was cool to see him back in all of this.
After a couple weeks after he got attacked by them.
It was Bloodline members, Tama Tonga, and I don't know if Tonga Loa was a part of it, but it was at least Tama and Solo. They took him out. They did him dirty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you get Paul Heyman coming out to the ring, real coy, real somber, real apologetic.
Yeah,
trying to warn KO that he's talking about Solo, which I'm wondering at the time, is Solo going to come out and whoop his ass for this, or what's going on?
I know what's going on.
He's basically saying how Solo's out of control, Tonga's out of control.
Can't control them.
They're all out of control, and you can't control them, and they're criminals. Criminals. Yeah, they're criminals. And basically,
we want Roman
pours
chants.
his heart out to KO like big time, almost tears in his eyes, real heartfelt, everything. Yeah. KO just turns to him and is like, "I don't believe a word you're saying."
Nah.
Basically, I'm not falling for this. That's what you were going to get out of KO either way. But,
yeah, right. He's not going to fall for that. We want Roman chants, and Paul obviously obliged and said that if anyone wants Roman, nobody wants him more than me.
Yep.
That was where it was at with that one. Obviously, Roman is not here right now, and they're not pairing up Heyman with anybody else right now. We did hear flirtations of Braun Breaker, but that's not happening.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Yes.
Next up, we have the Street Profits versus the Bloodline.
Yep, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa.
Yeah, it ends up being the Bloodline winning this one. Tama has a slam on Montez, and I think it's the Tongan Twist. I'm not sure.
Is that what they're calling it? That's a cool name if it is.
That's one of his moves, the Tongan Twist. So we're going to assume that's it, but I'm sure we'll know more about it as the weeks go on.
Absolutely. Let us talk to you.
Yeah, let us talk to you. Bailey versus Bailey and Naomi.
Yes.
Versus Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, one of my favorite
great tag team right now.
Niven and Green win this one via the splash.
Yeah, what they did was Niven hit a devastating splash and then took Chelsea Green and threw her over her opponent. Yeah. And so she got the pin. But obviously, Piper Niven did all the dirty work here. But Chelsea Green and Piper Niven get a win on SmackDown against Bailey and Naomi. That's big for them.
Yeah, that's big. Pretty big. And then after that, we get, AJ Styles is walking through the backstage area.
In an Easter-colored suit.
Very somber, he's
walking
solemn,
up to, people
looking like a man that's about to
hang up the boots.
He walked up to
we have to
LA
note
Knight
that LA Knight happened to be there, and he was like, hey, from what I'm hearing is true, respect. That was a cool moment. So we're like, wow, okay, AJ, this could really be happening, but it ended up being
then Cody next.
Cody as well. Yep. And
Cody next.
He said he wanted him out there.
He whispers something to Cody that we don't hear, and Cody always gets these secret messages we can't hear, and you see him do his nod.
It's got to be like his idea.
And look, looks like he's holding back tears for no reason.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. And then AJ starts to come out, and he reaches the tunnel, and there waiting for him is the Good Brothers.
It is Anderson and there it is.
Gallows. They hug it out. They're a team
this
again.
Is it.
Finally, I've been waiting for that resolution for a long time. It looks like they're like, oh, they're there for him on his way out.
They came out
all
with
together
him.
again, and they're all friends again at least. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They come out with him, comes up to the ring, calls Cody out to the ring, says he's retiring. That's it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
all this mushy stuff.
He says he's tired of missing his kids' sports games, and he's done this for so long, and that Leon France gave him one of his most favorite matches with Cody Rhodes.
Was the best match of his life. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
but Cody comes out, congratulates him, holds his hands out. They go to one side.
They're selling
each
other. They
go to the next side.
They're selling
they
to
go
the
to
crowd.
the next side. They go to the fourth side to showcase with Cody holding up AJ's hand, and AJ clotheslines him.
He does. And this was very, very Mark Henry-esque. I don't know if you guys remember. Mark Henry came out on an episode of live TV in an Easter-colored suit as well, and said that same thing. He was retiring. His body can't do it anymore. He's had his run. And it ended up being Mark Henry's greatest trick in his greatest run. It was the Hall of Pain run. which led to a world championship for Mark Henry. But, this was really cool. AJ Styles fakes the retirement just like Mark Henry did back then. And
he didn't want to wait at the back of the line.
Next?
You know what I mean? That was the whole thing.
Exactly. He did not. Very entertaining episode, though, I got to say, man. Especially with that. That will do it for SmackDown 531. That brings us now to the world of All Elite Wrestling, which is shaken up to be really interesting nowadays that Maxwell Jacob Friedman is back. But first, before we get to his return, we got a few things to go. We're going to speak on some AEW Collision, June 1st, 2024. We start off with Roderick Strong. He's no longer the AEW International Champion. He has to be, he's got to still look his own name. He's got to look strong. They put him against Leo Rush, and Strong gets the win with the end of Heartache and does just that. He looks very strong with this victory. Up next, we have Daniel Garcia and Shibata, of course, the wrestler, versus Anthony Henry and J.D. Drake. Garcia and Shibata get an easy victory here with the PK kick. Moving on, it is Thunder Rosa versus CMLL talent Reina Dorada. This one goes to the hands of Thunder Rosa via submission. After this, on this Collision recap, we have Cage of Agony versus KM Danny G and Danny Rose. We have Cage of Agony taking the victory via pinfall here. These guys always look strong every time they come out, and they are continuing that. It is obvious. It is Yeet. It is Claudio Castagnoli next versus Johnny TV, formerly Johnny Nitro, John Morrison from WWE, whatever you want to call him. He's still out there looking like he can still go. I will say that he's in great shape. Claudio, though, wins with a big forearm, one of those big ones he likes to do. Gets the job done against Johnny TV, who's just out there to be on TV. Doesn't care if he wins or loses, I guess. He's just Johnny TV. Up next, we have some Shane Taylor promotions and Lee Moriarty versus the West Coast Wrecking Crew. It was not an easy task, but Shane Taylor got it done via pinfall. So him and Lee Moriarty are taking the win here. And now we have a very anticipated main event of Collision. It is for the AEW International Championship. It was Will Ospreay, the champion, versus Kyle O'Reilly. And these guys had a banger of a match, banger after banger.
That's right.
These guys could do no wrong in this match. They look great. It did look like Kyle O'Reilly got some really impressive offense in on Ospreay. But the aerial assassin does not lose. He wins this match with the Storm Driver and still your AEW International Champion. It is the aerial assassin, the number one contender as well for Swerve's World Championship. It is Will Ospreay winning this match, and that is your Collision wrap up, guys. It is This Week in Wrestling with the Source Wrestling Podcast. Let us talk to you. Yeah.
Let us talk to you.
Moving on now. Moving on. It can only be Monday Night Raw next.
Oh, yeah.
6/3/24.
Monday Night Raw is going to be yours to go through today.
Okay, so
we have
if we're going with me on Monday Night Raw, we have to talk about the Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio segment that started it all. This is so hot right now, guys. I didn't even expect it to blow up this big. I thought it was just a thing that, oh, wow, look, it's Liv and Dom. You see them like in the back of the camera view, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But now it's Liv and Dom. Mommy is not around, and Liv is sure making it known. Now, we don't know, though. We don't know, is Liv really into Dom, or is she just doing this because it's the revenge tour, and, you know what I mean? She really wants to get at Rhea Ripley and just take everything, and she said everything. So
yeah, that includes
what's
Dom.
it going to be? That includes Dominic Mysterio. It is Mommy's Dom, if you will. This segment, Dom was being backed into her corner, really uncomfortable. Liv is just like talking all these dirty things to him.
The thing is that she was just talking and he came out.
He did.
She didn't call him out.
He did. No, he came out. And he's like, listen, I want nothing to do with you. It's me and mommy. That's the way it is. And
but
Liv
she's not taking
is
no
not
for an
taking-
answer.
No,
that one,
she's
I tell
not. She's backing him into a corner. And, Finn Balor had to come out and break it up and say, hey, he wants nothing to do with you. The Judgment Day is close-knit, so on and so forth. And then Liv breaks Dom here in this segment. She does something where she, scratches the back of his head. And he just... the smile on his face. He laughs. I don't know if it was kayfabe. I don't know if she really broke him, but it looked like she broke Dominic here. And she saw that, and she really enjoyed it.
Yes, she did.
Yeah. Up next, first match of the night, we had Sheamus, the Celtic Warrior, versus Imperium's own Ludwig Kaiser. And these guys went to war, dude. They had a banger match. I don't know if you saw Sheamus's chest after that match.
Oh, yeah.
It was extremely raw and disgusting.
He's got to do the chops just like Gunther.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to show him that he can hang with banger after banger. Shockingly enough, Ludwig Kaiser wins this match via roll-up. Huge pinfall victory, probably the biggest victory for Ludwig Kaiser to date. He is your winner here. And up next, we had Dragon Lee versus Finn Balor from the Judgment Day. Easy pickings for the Prince. Finn Balor, coup de grace. See you later, Dragon Lee.
Well, he had some help.
Of course. I mean, it's the Judgment Day. You're going to have some help if you're in the Judgment Day, JD, so on and so forth. Hang on, guys. I got to take a sip of water.
Alpha Academy up next.
Oh, yeah, that's a segment worth talking about. Chad Gable's out there, once again, being the worst coach. The worst coach in the world, putting down Maxine, putting down Akira Tozawa, wants nothing to do with them. And Otis is still in this torn state. He's in this very torn state, doesn't know what to do. Now, Sami Zayn's out there, and Chad Gable's making him choose. He's got Gable has Zayn locked up in this, I don't know what you want to call it. He's just holding him still. And the thing is, Otis doesn't know what to do. He is obviously being ordered to just destroy him. He's being ordered to do that by Chad Gable, and he doesn't know what to do. He makes it seem that Gable pushes Maxine down now, and Otis is losing it. He gets a huge pop for standing up, finally standing up to Chad Gable, but unfortunately, man, it's Otis. He's his number one guy for a reason.
Well, no, it's because after he had turned on Gable, it was Sami Zayn that clotheslined Gable into
Maxine.
Otis.
Oh, okay.
And
he
Otis
bumped her.
knocked Maxine and Tozawa off the apron.
He did,
which made Otis pissed off back at Zayn.
Yes,
and
he took him out.
That's exactly how that went down.
Yeah, so we're wondering if Otis is finally going to snap and really lay into Chad Gable. Maybe after Chad Gable wins his Intercontinental Championship, you never know.
That's be a cool feud.
Cool feud for sure.
If he does win it, I don't really want him to win it. I don't really care.
Do I think he deserves to win the Intercontinental Championship?
I think Jey Uso might more.
He's definitely more over than Gable.
Yeah.
But Gable in kayfabe in the wrestling ring has been the closest to becoming that champion out of all these guys. He has.
Yeah, except for Sami Zayn, who is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, put Sami aside, but he has come very, very close in his battles with Gunther.
Correct.
Up next, though, we have Braun Breaker continuing his path of destruction versus the highlight of the night, Ricochet.
Which was the longest match he's had
so
far.
Yeah. I was literally just going to say
that. It was one mistake. Ricochet was doing a great job, but it was just one mistake ended up leading towards one of those big clotheslines.
Yeah, and a massive spear. He did hit the Frankensteiner, which looked great. He's putting some zest on it, something that Scott or Rick Steiner could never make it look that good. That's all I'm going to say. He wins the match with a big spear, and he is continuing with this rocket on his back. They must have big plans for Braun Breaker, but he seems like he's still pissed off he wasn't in the King of the Ring tournament. It's time to let it go. Mm-hmm.
He's got to get his mic skills down, and he should be good, but I think that's the part that he might be lacking right now.
Right, and he could use a mouthpiece like the wise man. Just saying. Up next, we have Natalya Neidhart versus Kiana James. Shocker here. Shockingly enough, you don't expect Natalya to lose. She's a 20-plus year veteran. She's been doing this longer than Kiana's been alive, I can only assume. But she gets it done with a 401k.
Yeah, they
on
have to
Natalya.
obviously push the young talent. That
Yes,
just
they
moved
do.
up.
And Natty has no problem
You
putting
can't debut
people
and not
over.
win.
Yeah, right. And I think Natty has no problem putting people over. She likes to give back to the business. And fortunately, that happens here. Kiana James with a
Jim
win.
Neidhart's daughter.
Absolutely. A legend, the Anvil. Jim Neidhart. Next on Monday Night Raw with the Source Wrestling Podcast. I am the Source Wrestling Podcast. I did something to my back this week, so I'm not lying. It was the monster of all monsters, Braun Strowman.
It's good to see him in the match.
It's great to see him out there in a match when he could have potentially never wrestled another match in his career. He's out there against Carlito. Easy pickings for the monster of all monsters. Hits that power slam. You can count to 10 at that point.
Yeah.
Carlito's not looking good. He's not impressing the Judgment Day.
And it's important to know that Carlito was specifically sent out to the ring
By
for
the
this
Judgment
match
Day.
By the Judgment Day.
Like a
because
prove-it match.
Damian basically turned to him and said, "Oh, you basically want to run with the Judgment Day, and you're prospecting right now, so you take care of it."
Yeah, go out and take care of Braun Strowman, and then we'll talk.
I don't know if he's going to be happy that he did it at least. And
Right,
that
he tried. He didn't back down.
We'll see
that's
how that
for sure.
develops. I think Carlito falls into the Judgment Day pretty good.
He kind of does, yeah.
Because I could see, like I said, I have wild visions of Dominic and Finn Balor and JD going off with Liv Morgan. Because don't forget, Finn Balor does have history with Liv as
Balor and
having
Liv
her back
do.
a
Yes,
lot.
they do.
And then it could be Rhea, Damian, and Carlito, which would be pretty cool.
Interesting.
And maybe
Interesting
Andrade
trio.
as well.
Yeah, right. Because we just said he needs something.
That would be cool. And
they're
then
not using him right.
Now the Judgment Day is anew because we've only seen a Judgment Day that is unhappy with their other members.
Yeah,
it seems
right.
like Damian and Rhea are
true.
doing everything,
Yep.
and they're just constantly unhappy with their other members. They
Yep.
will have a team at that point that I feel is
They can get
way
the job
more of
done.
a force.
Absolutely.
So we'll see if my weird vision comes true.
We'll see. Up next, though, we have to go to a women's tag team title match. It is our WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair.
Yes, sir. They got to get those title fights in, and this is
Absolutely.
also them going to another brand.
Yes, it is.
Which is because
they're like
they are
free
the
agents
only,
with that title.
They're the only women's
champions.
Yeah.
They're welcome everywhere, and I welcome it. They are going against the team that we've seen a lot of, Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark for the tag team championships, and solid match. Obviously, Jade and Bianca Belair are not losing their titles here to this team. It ended up being a disqualification, though. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn with a run-in leads to a disqualification victory for Jade and Bianca. They attack the tag team champions here and state their claim that they want to be a part of this tag team title race,
which is
too.
weird because it was like Baszler and Stark and Alba and Isla beating up the champs, and it's like they weren't
That's
even
not
mad
believable.
that they just cost them their title match. They literally cost them a title match. And it didn't even seem like they were mad.
Whatever. Yep. They've had their chances to be up in the tag team ranks, but Alba Fire and Isla Dawn have not, so we'll see what they're doing with them. Up next, though, we had a very concerning promo that we need to talk about, guys.
It seemed like Jey Uso had been drinking.
He's been yeeting a little too much. He's trying to talk about the Money in the Bank. That's his next goal. He's trying to get that out. He's stuttering. He's missing cues, and he doesn't know if it's the money in the yeet in the bank. It's a very awkward promo.
Yeah.
WWE even hit his music as he was talking because it was just
Curtin
bad.
called him.
Yep, like, all right, dude, come to the back. Another DUI, maybe? I don't know. Man, Jey Uso, what's going on?
It definitely seemed like he was up in the sauce or something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's not the Jey Uso that we're used to, I would say. Next up, though, we had a pretty decent tag team match. It was the New Day versus the AOP, Authors of Pain, and back and forth, of course, New Day as, multiple tag team title reigns. They're not going to go down easy, but they do go down to the AOP. with the What a Rush. Paul Ellering's out there, still not talking. Don't know why he's still there. He's
he was there to name the move.
Yeah, he
named the move
the What a Rush. Yeah, he managed the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom. Mm-hmm. But like, why is he there now? What's he doing? Besides just being out there with sunglasses on, not saying a word.
It's not going over, unfortunately.
No, and I feel bad for Karrion Kross because he's a solid talent. But I don't know. I just don't think it's cooking. I really don't. I mean, his promo work's good.
Maybe it'll marinate.
Maybe. I don't know. The whole trust me thing, it seems like he's trying to be Jake the Snake Roberts a little bit too much lately, because that was Jake the Snake Roberts thing, with the promos where he's just talking calmly and quietly and cerebral, and he's just like, trust me. And now Karrion Kross is doing the whole trust me thing. So it's kind of a callback to that. I kind of like it, but the Final Testament is still not getting pops. They're not getting reactions. They should be concerned. Up next now, it's the Monday Night Raw main event of the evening. The greatest mask ever, Rey Mysterio, Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio versus World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest in a non-title match. Get both of them out there. I don't know if they've ever wrestled each other. I can't confirm nor deny.
I would have to say no.
I know that I haven't seen it. If they have, and it was a great match. Rey still looks great at his age. The stem cell procedures that he's had done has obviously preserved his in-ring career, because he was, on the brink of retirement at one point, and got these stem cell procedures done, and he's just looking as close to the Rey Mysterio of old as I've seen in a long time. Had a really great match with the World Heavyweight Champion, but the World Heavyweight Champion's not gonna have it. He's not gonna even accept a non-title defeat. It is Priest with the South of Heaven chokeslam. Getting it done, guys, for the victory. Monday Night Raw fades to black, and lots of interesting things.
At some point during this, and I don't know if it was at the end of the Strowman match or the end of the Priest match, there was a point where they were all beating somebody up, and Braun Strowman comes running out.
He does. He makes the save. He tries to do that that big spin around the ring clothesline thing. Yes.
He goes to go after Dominic, and Liv pops up.
She does.
And saves Dominic.
She does.
Which is important to know.
And that's getting more juicy, too, for this Liv and Dominic segment. And
Dominic
also
looks a little appreciate of that.
He does.
You know what I mean?
And
I see the wheels turning in Judgment Day's head a little bit.
Okay, maybe we can use her.
People,
but Mommy's going to be thinking, nah.
Well, where is Mommy? Come on.
I know.
The injury wasn't even that bad. It was like a 3-month injury.
Where is she? But they're really
at least talking.
Yeah, they're really rolling out with this Liv and Dom thing, even on social media. I think after Monday Night Raw, Liv went and liked every post on Dominic's Instagram, every single one. And
real authentic.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I wish you would take mine, though, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dominic Mysterio is like the new age godfather. Like, he's got Rhea Ripley. He's got Liv Morgan. He's got a hot wife in real life. God bless her. She must be... on some other shit.
Freshly married and had a kissing scene. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Freshly married, where he got booed at his own wedding. We can't forget about that.
Oh, he did.
That is the magnitude that is
kind of like
Dominic.
How Bryan Danielson got yesed at his wedding.
Yes, exactly. And it shouldn't be any other way. That is Monday Night Raw with the Source Wrestling Podcast, guys. We're going to continue on this week of wrestling. We're going to turn it over to Mike now, because this is his specialty, NXT 6424.
All right. So we have the NXT recap review going on now.
Yeah.
It starts off great. It starts off with Jordan Grace versus Stevie Turner. And obviously, Jordan Grace is the winner, and that's via the Juggernaut Driver, which is a really cool name and a cool move as well.
This is NXT NA right now.
Yes, it is.
It's so cool.
Next up, we had Jasmine Nix, and she defeated Thea Hale. And she defeated her with the Pele kick, which was similar to the swerve kick.
Yes, it's similar to a few different wrestlers who pull off that Pele kick, like the Trek shot and AJ Styles' Pele kick. Really cool move. She gets it done. Beats Thea Hale.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we had Tony D'Angelo, and he defeated Damon Kemp of the No Quarter Catch crew, right?
Yes.
And that was their chance to get their cup back, because he won it against them as well.
Yes, he did.
But he retains the Heritage Cup with none other than the Forget About It.
The greatest wrestling move name of all time.
Yeah, great name for a move. And basically, it's good to know that in the first round, he hit the forget about it for the win.
Yes.
Second round, nothing. Third round, nothing. Fourth round, spinebuster for the win. He won 2-0 against Damon
that's
Kemp,
telling.
which really did nothing for Kemp's career.
No, it
we're
does
moving
not.
on. We're moving on to Natalya defeating Izzy Dame. She wins with a roll-up. Puts all her weight on her and gets the 1-2-3.
Yes.
And after that, we had Jada Parker,
Mishin,
Saul Ruka defeating Fallon Henley, Kalani Jordan, and Last Legend. And
like
it
a
was
3v3 tag type thing.
And it was actually Ruka hitting the Soul Snatch. They had to showcase that.
Love
move,
that
obviously.
move. Yeah, she is
probably
just
one of the
awesome.
best finishers, female finishers in the game right now. Honestly.
Would it be a hot take to say that she'll probably be one of the next call-ups? Would it be a hot take? Because I think she's got it.
I think they're trying to position her for a NXT title run, and I think she's.
She hasn't had that.
She's
Okay.
part of the plan for next year.
She's
I think
gotta
she's
be.
part of the plan for next year. Trick's part of the plan for next year.
For sure.
Obafemi's part of the plan for next year. You know what I mean? There's got to be people now that they drafted
Lexus
a bunch
King
of people.
maybe next year.
Those are the people that in Lexus King is going to have his year this year. Those are the people that are going to have big years this year.
Yes. Now all
Obafemi's
these
going to
guys are
transition
gone.
into the NXT title scene. Lexus King's going to grab that North American title.
I'd love to see him with that. Love to see him with it.
And then the men's tag team champions. Who knows what's going on with that?
Yeah.
Who is that right now?
I have. Are you talking about NXT?
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Hold on.
I do not have the time to watch NXT, unfortunately. I catch the highlights and all the cool stuff, like Shawn Michaels, the chef, who is cooking up right now with everything he's doing with the NXT era right now, having the Forbidden Door wide open, having TNA's knockout champion Jordan Grace.
I forgot it was Nathan Frazier and Axiom. How could I forget? They got
how
him from
could you
Braun
forget?
Breaker and Baron Corbin.
You're the NXT guy.
Yeah, it's true. But they
It's damn
have the tag
true.
titles as well. And they are having a big year as well. They could be call-ups next year as well. So,
Absolutely.
we finished off with Ethan Page coming out. He's going for a title shot.
Yeah, he signs his contract.
He signs his contract. He's
That
getting
dude,
a
the
title
dude's got
shot,
the
so.
skills. He can talk. Former AEW talent. They dropped the ball on this dude.
Yeah, was he ever a WWE or was he always?
I'm not sure. I'm still fairly new. I know he's a former AEW talent, and they didn't really know what to do with him. Shout out Ethan Page though, because he came out looking and sounding strong. NXT, yeah, watch out, because Ethan Page is on the scene now, and he's inserting himself into the main event picture, I would say.
Yeah, he's a Canadian professional wrestler from Canada.
I mean, how many great professional wrestlers have we had from Canada? A lot of them, guys.
And he is known for his time in All Elite Wrestling,
Yes.
Ring of Honor, and Impact Wrestling, not
Okay.
WWE.
Okay, yeah, so
it seems
he-
like they have stolen one here.
Yep,
Just like
he
Jade.
was an ROH guy. He was a TNA Impact guy. So yeah, they've stolen another one because they stole Jade Cargill.
little
know.
jabs, you know what I
Yep,
mean? Little jabs
bit.
will eventually
Hey,
bring the champion
you messed
down.
up with this talent. Watch what we can do.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a lot of that going back and forth right now between the two. It's
100%, yeah,
is
but
fun.
it's healthy for professional wrestling. I don't know why everyone's always with the tribalism in wrestling. If you enjoy wrestling, just enjoy wrestling. I myself enjoy wrestling, so I enjoy watching WWE. I enjoy watching AEW. I even enjoy a little bit of independent scene stuff. You know what I mean? Just enjoy wrestling, guys. Can we not have the tribalism of, I watch AEW and AEW only, or I watch WWE and I won't watch anything else? You know what I mean? Just can we leave that in the 90s? Because I think wrestling, all in all, is at its biggest point it's ever been right now. But that's going to end Mike's NXT coverage here on the Source Wrestling Podcast. And we are moving on to a highly, highly anticipated episode of AEW Dynamite 6/5/24. And why, you say? Why was it very anticipated? Because it's the return of the King, the Wolf of Wrestling.
MJF.
Yeah, let him talk to you, because he can talk to you like nobody else can. And we start off the show with Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He comes out to a massive reception and cuts a killer promo, burying the likes of many wrestlers like Swerve, He was one of them.
The
he
Rainmaker.
came out
for all of them. Rainmaker, Ospreay.
I loved what he said. Oh, dude, don't even get me started about what he did to Ospreay.
Oh, yeah.
But I really loved what he said.
Ospreay has never been in a main event, and he has been in many. Oh, no, that's what Swerve said, actually, now that I think about it.
Yes, but MJF, I really love what he said about the Rainmaker Okada. He goes, you call yourself the Rainmaker, but it doesn't even look like you can afford a gym membership. That killed me. Obviously Okada's not jacked.
Forward,
Oh yeah, he's going for the jugular. And then he's talking about Will Ospreay. He's using the word bruv. And he's talking about how his terrible British teeth are just in his way, and he's going to deal with him at some point.
Yep.
Like, dude, he's literally no one is safe from MJF right now. Nobody. But we have a contender. We have somebody who's feeling lucky, and it just so happens to be former ROH champion, now current AEW talent, Roosh. And Roosh, you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Roosh should not have opened his mouth against MJF because MJF straight cooks him on the mic. He even starts speaking Spanish, and you know why? It's because he's better than you, and you know it. And that leads to a massive, massive brawl between MJF and Roosh, obviously setting up MJF's first feud as a returning AEW talent.
Yeah, they were really trying to get at each other. Actually,
totally
at one point, Roosh got through and jumped on MJF in the corner. Then at one point, MJF got free and rushed and jumped on Roosh in the corner. He did.
And it was security was everywhere. You know what I mean? It was just chaotic. Love seeing MJF back in the middle of an AEW ring. Put him in the ring with anybody. It will draw money. Next, we have number one contenders match for the AEW International Championship held by the Bruv himself, Will Ospreay. It's a four-way match. It's Orange Cassidy versus Kyle O'Reilly versus Lethal, Jay Lethal, and also Ray Phoenix. And
Jay Lethal, that's another guy that
TNA
I could see being in ECW.
Absolutely, he would have thrived in that because he's been around a long time. He was a TNA staple,
along with Mark Briscoe and his brother.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace.
Absolutely, yeah. Jay Briscoe, rest in peace to you.
It's funny because there's a lot of wrestlers. It's funny that now there's not an ECW. You can look at certain wrestlers and be like, that guy would have been great. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Now that it's gone, you don't know what you got, guys, until it's gone. But shockingly enough, I was rooting for Orange Cassidy here. Maybe make another run for that international title that he made so prestigious. It was actually Ray Phoenix with a cradle to win this, and he is the number one contender to face Will Ospreay for the AEW International Championship, and that match will be to come. Up next, we have now, guys, the TNT title is vacant. Obviously, Adam Copeland hurt himself with the Flying Nothing at Double or Nothing, and it's vacant now. So we're going to have title qualifying matches now, and this is the first one. It is Brian Cage versus none other than Mark Briscoe. For the TNT title qualifying match is a chance to move on in this tournament, if you will. Back and forth match, yes, but Mark Briscoe pulls out the Froggy Bow for the win. Everyone's loving it. Yep, the Froggy Bow, man. And I love that move. It's a frog splashed elbow. That's the Froggy Bow.
Hey,
first time I've ever seen it done. Yeah. Mark Briscoe is the only one to ever do it, in my opinion. Up next, though, guys, we had another six-man match. It is the BCC with a returning Wheeler Yuta, who is finally back. So it is the Blackpool Combat Club in full. They are at full strength. It is Wheeler Yuta, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Castagnoli versus CMLL talents Volodar Jr., Magnus, Ruido, and Esfinge. Obviously, we know who's going over here. It's not the CMLL guys. Nah. It is the Blackpool Combat Club. It is the Seatbelt Clutch from Wheeler Yuta, the returning Wheeler Yuta, to get the victory for the Blackpool Combat Club. Good to see Wheeler Yuta back. He was out for quite some time, so now the BCC just became more dangerous and more versatile, 100%.
Yes, sir.
Up next was a sleeper match, dude. It was Mariah May versus Saraya. And I was not prepared for how good this match was. They stole the show, in my opinion, with this match. Mariah May and Saraya just left it all out in the ring. Mike and I were talking via Facebook during this match, like, Saraya's looking great, but she's just going to job out here, right?
Yeah.
We literally said that to each other as the match
Mariah
was
May
happening.
gonna lose anything right now?
Yeah, right. Just look at her. And unfortunately, it did not go that way. Saraya locks in the PTO for a very long time and gets the victory by decision against Mariah May. And that was probably one of Saraya's best outings that we've seen since her AEW debut. And before I get to the main event, guys, there's one little thing about Dynamite that I'd like to talk about. And it's, hi, guys. Thanks, guys.
Oh, God.
It's the learning tree, the Jericho Vortex, who is now assembled of Chris Jericho.
That he's all about, I'm very much on the fence.
I'm all about this. Hey, guys. Thanks, guys. He's so overly annoying because he knows that everyone's sick of him, and they want him to retire right now, and he's just cashing in on it. It's the learning tree. It's the Jericho Vortex. He is the For the World champion, and he had camera guys following him all night. And the learning tree right now is currently the branches, if you will, of the learning tree are Chris Jericho. It is Bounty Hunter Brian Keith and Big Bill, and they are being followed pretty much all night by this camera guy. Jericho is telling everybody how they should be doing things. He even grabs the camera from the guy. I think his name was Lonnie or something like that. He goes, "This is how you want to film," and he's being he's just being this new learning tree Jericho, and I think it's really funny. And they followed him throughout the night with the Bounty Hunter, and Bounty Hunter is all about people respecting Jericho now. He's like, they even run into Angelo Parker, and he says, "Hey, Angelo, your unborn baby better respect Chris Jericho, or I'm coming for him." You know what I mean? So the learning tree.
About the Bounty Hunter.
I like him, not going to lie. I think he's a good in-ring talent. I think they need to work on his presentation more. I do like the...
I feel like he's got money or something, just not in shape.
No, he's not in the greatest ring shape, but the guy can wrestle. I will say that. Yeah. Bounty Hunter Brian Keith. Up next, though, so we'll say bye, guys. Thanks, guys, to the learning tree.
Yeah.
Up next, it is the main event of the evening. It is our AEW World Champion. Whose house? Swerve's house. It is Swerve Strickland versus Roddy Strong for the AEW World Championship. What a damn match. Swerve is just out here collecting Infinity Stones with the people he is defeating, and he gets it done with the house call. It's another Swerve when I drive type AEW Dynamite. He retains his championship. He is going nowhere, and we have to mention, while we're on the title of Swerve, that he responded to MJF in a promo backstage on this episode of Dynamite and says, "Oh, you finally decided to show up to work, huh, Max? Okay, cool. Good for you." He says, "I'm going to deal with you, but it's not going to be the way anything that you're going to like." You know what I mean? So we have to note that Swerve is still the champion. MJF is set up, obviously, to go up against Roosh for his return.
Yes, sir.
And he will hit that heat seeker on Roosh for sure. What I liked about MJF's return on Dynamite is he comes out and does his kind of throwback entrance with the Dynamite diamond ring. He comes up to the camera, looks at it, kisses it, punches the camera lens, it looks like, with the Dynamite. He has not done that in a while, so that was really, really cool. Killer episode of Dynamite.
Is he all cleared to fight? It's never been mentioned.
It has not been mentioned, but if you guys watched Dynamite like we did, you saw MJF out there battling with Roosh, and he did hit a brain buster on Adam Cole, when he returned at Double or Nothing. I think he's ready to go. I really do.
Seems that way.
It does. That is going to conclude our This Week in Wrestling. We've really had a yeetful time tonight, but before we go, guys, we are going to bring back a segment that we always do at the end of every episode. It is On This Day in Wrestling History, where we pay respects to the greats and of the past, present, and future of professional wrestling. Let us talk to you. It is the Source Wrestling Podcast with On This Day in Wrestling History.
Yeah. Or maybe Yeetah.
Either way. Yeah.
On this day in wrestling history, we have our notable wrestling birthdays,
Read
ladies
them off,
and
Mike.
gents. First up, we got Chris Ridgway. 1993.
93. Okay.
He's obviously, in a 1993 birthday, probably in the circuit. Still not sure who he is. Do you?
I have no idea.
Next one up, Mick Foley, born in 1965.
Oh, you better know who that is. Have a nice day.
That means that he's, 58 years old.
Does that mean it's also Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and Mankind's birthday? Asking for a friend.
Absolutely.
Nice. I like
Gotta figure it's also Howard Finkel, the most legendary announcer in WWE history.
Down the aisle.
1950.
Rest in peace, Howard
CM Punk's
Finkel.
a big fan. He had to come out and do his entrance.
My God. There was nobody like the Fink, man. And he was the only guy, I think, to look like he was in his 60s when he was in his 30s.
That's right.
All right?
And also,
this is the Fink.
We have superstar Billy Graham.
What a legend.
1943.
What a legend.
And to wrap it up, we have the Grand Wizard. 1929.
Holy crap.
Safe to say he's probably not with us anymore.
Absolutely not, unless he has found the fountain of youth, if you will. And on this day in wrestling history, on a somber note, the year is 2006, one of my childhood faves. Of this era, the new era, I like to call it, when it was like 90, 93, era of the WWF Hasbro figures, all that. It was John Tenta, best known to wrestling fans as Earthquake, died at the age of only 42 after contracting bladder cancer. He was very quiet about this. No one really knew. Obviously, his family knew, and Tenta, we extend our condolences to the family. He had a great episode of Dark Side of the Ring on this season, and it really dove deep into Quake and a lot of things that I did not know. I know he was also known as Shark in WCW as well, and then he came back as John Tenta. He was also Golga from the Oddities as well, which I think was a slap in the face to Earthquake. And they even said that Vince McMahon kind of made it a joke. It was the only way he was it was the only way he was going to let John Tenta back, and he was just trying to pay the bills, man. So rest in peace, John Tenta, the Earthquake, brother.
Yeah. And on this day in wrestling history, in 2003, in the UK only pay-per-view, WWE Insurrection took place.
They didn't do many of those.
Telewest Arena in Newcastle, England. In the main event, Triple H retained his world title, his world heavyweight championship, if you will, in a street fight against Kevin Nash.
Wow, and that's a click match, 100%. Those two guys, very, very good friends. A street fight between the two of them with gold on the line. Obviously, the game gets it done. And on this day in wrestling history, the year was 2009. WWE Extreme Rules took place at the New Orleans Arena in, obviously, New Orleans, Louisiana. The main event saw the charismatic Enigma Jeff Hardy retain his World Heavyweight Championship over Edge in the main event ladder match. However, there's an asterisk. However, Hardy's night was not over as Money in the Bank contract holder CM Punk himself decided to cash in his title shot and defeated Jeff Hardy to become the new champion right there and then on this day in wrestling history, brothers.
Yeah, and on this day in wrestling history, at a Smackdown taping in Kansas City, Missouri, Chris Benoit becomes the Blue Brand's first selection in WWE's random draft lottery.
Man, and we could probably have a whole episode just
amazing
talking about
the history
him.
After that.
Yes, the history after that we will save for another episode because we don't want to break out the tissues.
That's a whole episode of Dark Side of the Ring you can check out anytime.
Yeah, and there's actually a couple episodes. I think it's Benoit Part 1 and 2. Go check that out from the Dark Side crew. That is one not to be for the weak of heart.
That's right.
I guess, and what happened. We're just paying respect to his wrestling career, nothing else right now.
I'm just listing what it says. I'm not saying anything I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I am paying respect to his wrestling career. In my opinion, put what he did aside if that's possible for you. He's one of the greatest to ever do it, but he is forever erased for what he did, and I agree with that.
History,
absolutely. And speaking of history, this is on this day in wrestling history. On this day in wrestling history, WWE taped the main event of Backlash at the WWE Performance Center. This was 2020. The year is 2020, COVID era. That's why it was taped, and at the PC. This match between Randy Orton and Edge was dubbed the greatest wrestling match ever in promoting the show and blended an in-ring encounter with cinematic style filming. Randy Orton wins this 45-minute match that aired on Sunday, June 14th, 2020, I believe. That's when they taped the match on this day, on June 6th, and it aired on the 14th. This was the COVID era. Pandemic wrestling was something that I would love to forget.
It was a thing.
It was a thing.
We still had wrestling. That's all that mattered.
We did. Yep. WWE was there for us when nobody else was at all. We had lockouts in the NFL. A lot of Bray Wyatt stuff. Yep. We had the Firefly Funhouse match that came out of that, which was great with John Cena. We also had the Boneyard match with The Undertaker and AJ Styles. Undertaker's last quote-unquote match.
They ended up having them really expand the universe a little bit.
They did. They had to figure it out.
Bad situation.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I got one for you. On this day in wrestling history in 2006, ahead of the second ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view later in that week, WWE presented WWE versus ECW head-to-head from the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. On the show, Rob Van Dam defeated WWE World Heavyweight Champion in a non-title no-holds-bar match.
Wow.
It says defeated the WWE World Champion, but doesn't
not
say who it is.
But who?
John Cena also defeated by Sabu by disqualification.
Oh, wow.
Big Show won a Raw versus SmackDown versus ECW Battle Royale. And the show went into the match representing Raw, but during the finish was revealed to be the newest signee for ECW.
Ah, wow. So they took him away. And that all happened on this day in wrestling history. It certainly did. And, before we go, guys, just want to say thanks to everyone who's listening. And this is episode 42. We are getting close to 50. Like we talked about, we do have a guest coming in for our next episode, professional wrestler, double champion Mosh Pit. So that is something to look forward to for y'all. I know our last guest, Chris Sabansky, we got was well received, and we hope that this one is as well, as it is our first wrestler that we are actually going to have on the show. Groundbreaking for the Source Wrestling Podcast. Yeehaw. It's such good shit. Once again, please rate the show, guys. It takes 2 seconds. It really, really goes a long way by doing a little bit. Also, follow the show. Hit that follow button. What are you doing right now? You're just sitting there listening to us talk. Hit the follow button, all right? It takes 2 seconds. And then you'll know whenever we drop a new episode. Once again, the Source Wrestling Podcast is available on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Follow us on X, Instagram, TikTok, doesn't matter. We are there, brothers. It is the Source WWE, AEW, All Things Wrestling Podcast with Joe
and
Mike.
Yeah.
And let us talk to you next time until we yeet again. That is the bottom line, because Joe and Mike said so. That's all of our catchphrases.
All in a row. Yeet-ha.
And then a yeet-ha until we yeet again. It's the Source Wrestling Podcast, guys. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. Happy Friday. We out.
Yeah.